Hello, hello. I'm glad you're back. It's really nice to be here on Throwback Thursday. And today I just get to have a little chat about a really special horse. I decided to use today's session to introduce you to Chaucitta. Now, sadly, Chaucitta is no longer with us, but she was a horse that had a huge influence on me. And it's funny, isn't it, the way some horses do, and probably the horses that you least expect to at times. And I know you've all probably had horses that have had a huge influence on you, and I would love to hear about that. So do leave me a comment and tell me about your horse. And if you don't want to comment here, pop along to my blog and comment on there. That'd be great. I'd love to hear from you. So Chaucitta, I met Chaucitta when I was living in Singapore. She was a dapple grey polo pony, really, really gorgeous, very small for a polo pony. And when I met her, she was about 8 years old, I think, and playing polo, not very well because she wasn't very fast and she didn't have any stop on her, but she was quite agile, so she could sort of push other horses around and things. She didn't belong to me, she belonged to somebody else, but I used to get permission to ride her, which was just fabulous. She was probably the most nervous horse I've ever met in my life, and still to this day I don't think I've ever met a horse that was quite that anxious about life in general back at the time when I met her. I used to ride her in the jungle, so mostly for sort of just hacking out and riding. So I told her, my life story several times over, poor pony. And then I used to play weekday polo on her sometimes because she was playing with somebody much better at the weekend. So polo on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and hacking around in the jungle and the Chinese cemetery the rest of the time, which was fantastic. Her history was she was a Argentinian polo pony that used to, when they bought ponies from Argentina or anywhere, in fact, because they don't breed any horses in Singapore, so they have to fly them all in. And you buy a pallet of horses usually. So for the flight itself, it's cheaper to fly three because they fly in threes on a pallet. So they'd bought two, and or maybe they'd bought more than that. They might have bought several, and they had one free because they had one free spot on the pallet. And so they threw this one in for nothing. So they bought her as a 2-year-old already playing polo. You can imagine what that's like. Apparently she was jet black, tiny, and already playing polo. And those of you that know how they break in those polo ponies in Argentina, it's not pretty, and it's really quite cruel. I don't know if they still do it today, but I have a feeling they do. They do things like they get one horse on either side of the one they're breaking in, and they gallop them to tire them out until the horse that they're holding, until the horses that they're riding run out of steam. Then they swap horses and get another one. So the horse, they really do break them. They break their spirit and then cover their heads and tie them to a tree or something. Anyway, I don't want to go into it. It's not nice, but that's what she went through. And so she was incredibly nervous. And I didn't really have the tools to address that at the time. I remember she was the only horse in the whole of the polo club that they couldn't shoe her back feet, even though they drugged her to shoe her. And so I thought, well, I really hate the idea of a horse having to be drugged. So I used to go down there every time they were putting her front shoes on and feed little bits of carrot and talk to her while the farrier shod her so that she didn't have to be drugged. And that worked. I mean, we stopped drugging her, but it wasn't possibly the best way. I think I'd probably approach it slightly differently now, but I know a bit more now, and that's what is so great about horses. We live and learn, and we change what we do, so that's good. Anyway, when I left Singapore, I'd known Chaucitta for 3 years, and then I moved to the US. And one of the things that I said to my husband at the time, yes, okay, I will go with you to the US if I have to, but I'm going to do a horse training course there. I don't know which one, but I'm going to do one. So I arrived in the US and I start looking at courses. And anyway, it's another conversation, but I ended up doing the John Lyons course. And that required you bring two horses with you, one broken in and one not broken in. So my broken in horse, of course, was Chaucitta. So I rang back up the Singapore Polo Club and the owner of the horse, and he said, oh, as it happens, the horse has gone lame and won't be able to play polo anymore, so you can have her, basically. I thought, oh, yeah, that's great. And then the actual owner, things are a little more complicated, aren't they, than you think at the time. The actual owner said, oh, yes, I'll sell it to you for a vast sum of money. So anyway, I had to have it, and I had promised this horse that I would get her out of the country if I ever could, because she didn't like polo. It wasn't a great game for her. So I did. I did buy her, and I got her out of the country, popped her on a plane, and took her to Colorado with me, as you do. So she went to Colorado. She spent nearly a year in America doing the John Lyons course. And then I moved back to England. So, of course, I popped her on a plane with her mate and moved to England. And there, she was great there, you know, absolutely great. She'd so calmed down. She was quite a different horse, but still a lot more nervous than your average horse. She was still a bit sort of like this. She was really, really trainable, so terribly clever. And my son, who was about 10 at the age, wanted to learn to ride. And so I popped him on Chaucitta because she's the right size, you know, and said, oh, yes, now do this, put your hands here and do this. And he goes, oh, I can't do it like that. I said, oh, for goodness sake, Ollie, I can't teach you if you're just going to argue against everything I tell you to do. Never try and teach your children to ride. It's crazy, right? I said, just take the horse and go. So he did. And it was great because my son's a very good mimic and he can sort of copy stuff. So he just copied what he saw when I got on like a house on fire with this little horse. So then when it was time to move from the UK to Australia, popped the horse back on a plane. She's a very well-travelled horse. And off we go to Australia. And then my son took her to Pony Club, and that was fantastic. You know, he had a great couple of years with this horse at Pony Club. And she was amazing. She was a real try-harder. You know, some of those horses will, you know, keep trying to get a bit anxious and a bit worried. And I taught her to piaffe, and she had this beautiful, correct piaffe. It wasn't that beautiful because she was a pony, not a warm blood. But it was very correct. And so at Pony Club, whenever she'd get a little bit nervous and not quite know what to do, she'd just start to piaffe. And Ollie would just sit there looking very cute, and all the other kids going, oh, my God, what's that horse doing? Sweet. Anyway, so that is my Chaucitta story. She had to listen to my stories through 2 divorces. Aren't horses wonderful, the way they put up with you sobbing and chatting to them and asking them what they think? She always had a really good opinion. I moved around from country to country. 4 countries she did, 4 countries and 2 divorces. Now that is a horse with a lot of patience. And sometimes I think we're probably quite lucky they can't talk. What do you reckon? Anyway, that's my little Chaucitta story for today. I would love to hear your story about your special horse. So leave me a comment here or pop along to my blog. Now, I do on the 100 days, I've got a series of 100 days of emails. If you're interested and you want to get inspired with your riding and your horse training, go along. And there's a link in the top of this post for you, but go along and sign up for the 100 days, because every day for the next 100 days, you'll get something in your inbox from me, and it'll be something to think about, something to talk about. There's a place to come and chat about that. I answer all the comments. I really do welcome your input here, because we've all got things to learn, and I really want to come together with people and get us all talking and doing great things for our horses together. Yeah. So I will see you here tomorrow, or I'll see you on the blog, or both. Thank you. Bye.